Hey guys, just going to go through some of the spare parts that came with the Rover. So we've got quite a few in the boot. I've also got another tub here. I just really want to get them out of the car so I can do a vacuum, get it a bit cleaner so we're not working on a dusty mess. Nothing worse than working on a dirty, dusty car. Then we can then get it out of the garage and give it a wash down as well. So, but first off, not all these parts are for a Rover, I believe. Like some of them are for earlier Rovers, some of them could be for anything, I don't know. I'm not a professional mechanic, I'm not a car restorer. I work in a camping shop. This is my first time working on a Rover P5, although I do own other Rovers and have worked on restored other Rovers. So I do know a little bit, I just don't know a lot. This is not a how-to, it's just me going through what I know. First things in here, I don't really have a tub big enough for these, but I'll find somewhere. These are trims for around the back window, I believe. There is a set already on the car, so these are a spare. They are quite dented already, so I dare say the last owner who was fixing it up must have been working on these and changed them out already. And these are the ones that are probably on the car. So I'll set these aside. I'll probably attach them to the roof of the shed because I'm not going to use them anytime soon, and that'll stop them getting any more damage. So, got a windscreen wiper there. Go straight into the tub. I've just got some tubs off screen that I'm just putting everything into. So, that's the pocket from the driver's door. So that's missing in there at the moment. So it's good to have that just as a template to make something new from. So. Got this random bag made out of a heavy material there. I don't know what it's from, would not have a clue. I'll just set that aside, and when I've got a chance to have a look at some more Rovers, I'll see if I can find that in there. If not, it will get filed. Got the board to screen the petrol tank off. That's not going to fit in one of my tubs, so I'll just set that out of the way for now. Got a spare carburetor. The car is running, but it's not running well, they tell me, so I'll probably fix this one up. It's quite good on the shaft. It's no play at all in there, so I can tidy that up, fix it up, restore it, and probably just swap it over onto the car and then use this to get the car running. So. Got a tub of some brake parts with a caliper and some pads there, so pretty straightforward those. Got another caliper there, no piston inside it. Yeah, that's and there's some pistons, so handy to have. That one looks like new old stock there. A little bit of pitting on them, but they should clean up okay. I will take the brakes out of this, send them off and get them re-sleeved in stainless steel, like I do with all the cars I work on. Spare distributor there. Facet fuel pump, which is not original for this car. It would have had an SU. I noticed in there they put in another more modern again facet, so I'll probably get it running on that to begin with, and then later on I may change it back to the SU. It would be a little bit quieter in the car rather than the ticking of the facet. My other car's got a faceted fuel pump and it doesn't worry me though, so we'll just wait and see what happens. A couple of pieces of interior trim, so that's from up next to the window, it's on the windscreen, that's missing there inside the car, and an escutcheon, I think they're called, from around a door handle or a window, so handy to have that bright work and not be trying to chase it down. On cars that are sort of 60 years old, these things are hard to get. So inside here, I have not gone through any of this stuff yet, but we've got a couple more pieces of trim there for around the windows, bushings, got some window winders, door handles, some badges, and a badge there, more window winders. So I don't know whether this gentleman's had a parts car in the past with the spare window, or whether it's just accumulated some spares, but because all the handles are on in the car and all the window winders, so these are all spares, so definitely handy to have. Plug-ins as well for the leads, for the spark plugs, so just a little random box of spares and bright work there. Now we've got a couple of plastic windscreen wiper bottles. This car, I believe, would have had a glass wiper bottle for reservoir inside originally. It does have a plastic one in there now, so obviously the glass one over time is broken. Don't know why a 60-year-old piece of glass hasn't breaks in an engine bay, but the plastic one doesn't worry me. It is buried down as long as it works, but I'll probably keep these as a spare. This one's got a pump on it where this one doesn't, so I know they're not for the Rover, but this is not going to be a concourse car. It's just going to be a good little runner. So these, I believe, to be the trim for down the side of the car. I've not laid it out to see. When the other gentleman painted it, he would have removed these, so I'm going to have to track down the clips to put them on. I can see there's one in there with the stud broken. I will be a little bit of a chase down, but I know a few people with parts for these, so I can talk to them and find out what's needed. As well as there's a few part sellers online that I can track down clips and things from over in the UK. I'll probably try to get this car on the road without worrying about the side trims. In the future, if I do want to give it a paint, it's one less thing I have to take off. So get it looking nice and on the road is first criteria, and then we can look at doing some more little updates from then. Got some random flat pieces of trim. I don't know what they're off. I will just keep them safe and tuck them up in the ceiling until I can work out what they're from. I do have a parts list for this car, so they will be many hours of searching, probably over a glass of red, flicking through the book trying to work out what they are. Cover for the battery, I would say, a box to go seal off and tidy up where the battery is gone. That material that it's in and covered in is the same as what that other bag was that I found earlier on. So that to me says that it is definitely part of the car, probably from the boot to tidy something. So that might have gone over the original fuel pump, I don't know, but I'll just keep it aside and see from there. Some more window trims and a piece of side trim. Couple of pre-focus sealed beam lights. We've got a Lucas made in England and General Electric, I think that symbol is. I don't know. I don't even know if they're for this car or not. It does have all its lights there, so I'll just keep these aside and see. Who knows if they even work. So that's a clamp to hold the battery down inside the back, so I'll put that with the battery box. A couple of mud flaps. Don't know, they look pretty rudimentary. They might have been for the car, but yeah, or they could have been someone's adding them later on. I'll just keep them aside and see. The next rubber mud flap, I definitely know wasn't for this car. It does say Volkswagen, so, or VW on the front, so that maybe he was going to try to adapt it onto there, who knows. I won't put it in with the Rover parts. Got the crank handle there and a couple of wheel braces as well for undoing the nuts on the wheels. I think they're called wheel braces. So I'll keep those aside. I don't know why there's two. The wheel nuts would be the same unless your passenger's nice enough to help change the wheel, but two people working on the same tyre would be on the same wheel would be quite difficult anyway, and the passenger would be mainly my wife, who would not be volunteering to help me change the wheel. It's my old car, I can deal with it. And a jack, which is, I don't know if it's the original one for the car. I would not be using it anyway. I'll put a more modern jack in there that isn't going off the original jacking points on the side, but it is good to have for a little bit of originality, although it's not going to be a concours car. So that's pretty much it. There's a few little miscellaneous pieces of trim, clips, a metal cover, hose clamps. So I'm not going to sit here and go through all these trim clips with you. I'll just put them all into a container and keep them aside. Who knows if they're even for this car. In the paperwork, in the parts list, I know the gentleman has listed the parts number for the trim clips as well as possible supplies. So obviously he did not believe the ones he had were suitable. So over here we've got some, in a tub that came with it, some headlight rims, obviously spares because they're on the car, overriders for the bumper bars. Got some hubcaps there. The hubcaps are on the car already, so these are obviously spares. They are a different shape. I believe they're off a P4, not a P5, but I'll keep them aside, and I believe they will fit. If not, I'll move them on to a P4 person. I don't ever intend to get a P4. Shock horror, the wife will probably faint. There's a Rover I don't want. But you just never know these things. Got a spare grille. It's quite mangled, so whether it was off this car or whether it was off the parts car, who knows, but handy to have there. It's really rough, but can always be fixed, so better to have it than not. Looks like a number plate's around there, so spare binnacle on some of the switches inside this car. The plastic on the outside is quite worn and rough, so we might go through there and find some new ones. So handy to have. Also looks like it's got the lights there. Definitely not for this car, but a badge for a Rover 105R. So yeah, so that's for a P4, but who knows, I'll put that aside, and if I find a P4 guy that needs one of those, we can move on to them. This tub is just simply marked Rover electric bits, so there's globe holders, that's part of the lights for interior there. They are all inside this car, so obviously had some spares. There's a pump for windscreen washers, some rather damaged but spare lenses. I dare say this gentleman's not thrown anything out, which will be very handy for me getting it back on the road. So this is interesting. I've been told the engine was rebuilt in the past, and in here we've got valves, valve springs, so maybe these came out of the engine when it got rebuilt. I don't know. They may not even be for a Rover, but they're in there. Just a little box there of trim clips and screws. Set them aside. I don't know what trim they're for. Spare water hose and a speedo. Nice Carrera there. There is a speedo in the car. Spare fuel cap there. That's actually better than the one that's on the car. It isn't keyed though, so it doesn't have a barrel inside. The one that's on the car is stuck at the moment, so that'll be good for me trying to learn how to get it off there or get it unstuck. Spare gauge there, fuel, oil, temperature. So the gauges are, as I said before, already in the car, so that is an outright spare. Very rough sectional loom, always handy to have as a template. It looks like a cover for where maybe the lights go, power goes to the lights, I don't know. Got the rear lights there, so just some spares. I think they're for the front lights, so they are different to the back, but very similar. So without taking them down there, I know the front do have some little round lights on them, so I head down there and just quickly check. I don't know whether I am in camera. No, it does not suit the front, so definitely does not suit the front, so I'll put them off to the side. I won't get rid of them. They are a Lucas, probably off, maybe off the P4, the 105R, who knows. Spare windscreen wiper motor. None of the electrics have been tested in this car, so I may need that. Shoes off drums in there. So maybe he has done the brakes with all these brake parts laying around, and just from sitting around they're seized shut, so it might be as simple as me take them off and be able to free them up, and if the seals are fine, they may be good. I may not have to send them off. So just a few little random pieces in there still. I won't take them all out, they're just clips and more brake shoes. Quarter light windows. This car doesn't have quarter lights, so that's obviously come out of probably a later P5. Series 2s and 1As did have quarter lights, so that's probably from there. I'll just keep them aside, and if someone needs them, I've got them. So that's really it for today. I've got the car cleared out. I can give it a vacuum and then push it outside and give it a wash. It's getting a bit later today, so probably won't be doing that today. I'll just finish off tidying this stuff up off camera and sitting it aside on the shelf and labelling them P5 parts, so I know where they are when I need them. Cheers guys, and I'll catch you next time.